Hello everyone, it's Imran here. Welcome back to another video. So, I am going to be reacting to the last audio story by Kiefer Adams for 2024, and this one is called Christmas on Sodor. The last one I did react to was the Tale of Two Engines one. You want to see me react that out? Have it on the top right corner of your screen. Was a great little explanation as to how to handle mature during his stint at the quarry. This video is at 21 minutes long. Kiefer did say that did tease us. I think was last month or the month before that he teased us with the Christmas on Sodor one, and yeah, it's in the style of the hit era. It is, and yeah, I've been really looking forward to react to this. This came out yesterday. I was meant to react to it yesterday, but I didn't upload anything yesterday because I was extremely busy with stuff. Yeah, not really had time to think about doing Christmas reactions this year with everything that's been going on with me, but I figured just before Christmas, I hope to do some Christmas-related reactions tomorrow as well. But yeah, Christmas on Sodor. Looking forward to this audio special, 21 minutes long. So we have an OC character called Vince who's coming to who will be part of the special, and Diesel's not best pleased to be fitted with a snowplow, and an old friend returns to the island to help lift the festive spirits of the Diesels. Very, very interesting right there. Be interesting to see how this goes, the special goes. Yeah, 2024 has been quite a wild year for Kiefer and his audio stories. It has, we had obviously seasons 5 and 6 we had the audio specials. We also had the drama with Kiefer in the summer. We did the little drama that Kiefer went through that he obviously had to go to therapy for. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. If you saw my mainland adventure reaction video where I talked about it a bit more, and so did people in the comment section of that video, if you want to see what exactly the deal was right there. Yeah, and 2025, obviously we all know, marks the 80th anniversary of the Railway series and the Thomas franchise as a whole. He's got big plans for it. Can't wait for it, Kiefer. But first, we need to react to this audio story. Link to the video I'm reacting to in the description down below as always. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into this.
Christmas on Sodor. Written and told by Kiefer Adams.
For the last time in 2024.
Christmas was not far away on the island of Sodor, but the snow was late arriving. That evening, the Fat Controller came to Tidmouth Sheds.
Okay.
A heavy snowfall is expected tomorrow, he said. I would like you all to make your ways to the yard and get your snowplows fitted. Yes, sir, chorused the engines. The Fat Controller then left, bidding goodnight to the engines as he did. I knew this would come sooner or later, sighed Gordon. It's just like every year, said Henry. We have to wear our snowplows and be safe. Och, I just hope it's not going to cause us any trouble, said Emily. It always causes us trouble, grumbled James. The snow is so difficult to plough, you need 3 tractors to get you out of it. Well, it's not all that bad, is it? Said Percy. After all, there's a few weeks until Christmas. Percy's right, agreed Edward. We just got to work hard and get things ready for the festive season. The engines chattered all night about the snow, but Thomas was worried. He wondered if they would even get through the snow this year. But luckily, the Fat Controller had called on a new friend to help them out. The next morning, the engines all woke up to the sight of snow spread across the ground.
So this is Vince right here.
It wasn't as heavy to begin with,
he did tease us,
but
Vince.
There would be more to come.
Toby
had been working in the early hours of the morning.
Vince has actually got quite an interesting design right there. If you want to know what his face is based on, let me know in the comments down below. Would really appreciate it.
Delivering coal to the villagers on his tramway.
Got really nice design.
He was just making his way back when a loud horn, and one that he didn't recognise, almost made him
like
jump.
One of those savage horns.
Excuse me, mate, called a voice as Toby looked to his right. Sure enough, before him was the strangest vehicle he had ever seen. It looked like a van, but Toby was quick to notice that instead of wheels, it had 4 separate caterpillar tracks, Oh, hello,
Similar to how
said
Wall-E
Toby.
has his
Who are
Caterpillar
you?
tractors.
Nay,
You know how in Wall-E, the Disney Pixar film, how Wall-E has the wheels but also the Caterpillar tractors? That's what it kind of reminds me of. The first thing that came into mind was Wall-E. Literally, Wall-E was the first thing that came into my mind when I saw that.
name's Vince, mate, replied the vehicle. Well, I can see you've come to help us for the Christmas holiday, said Toby. What exactly are you? I'm a snowmobile, replied Vince. I've come to help Terence and clear the roads. Well, it's good to have you here, Vince, said Toby. Safe travels. Here, thank you, mate, smiled Vince, and he rolled quickly away.
Sounds like the Savage horn the way
Toby
his horn's sounding.
didn't quite know what to make of Vince as he continued on his way. A little later, Toby dropped off some supplies at Dryall Station. At that moment, Thomas passed through, on his way to get his snowplow fitted. Toby was quick to tell him all about Vince.
Thomas seems
I
quite
saw him
surprised.
earlier, said Thomas. He's quite the machine, isn't he? But I don't see how he can help us. Terence might show him a thing or two, reassured Toby. But I am quite concerned about the weather. Driver says we're getting more snow this afternoon. Yes, so I've heard, said Thomas. Toby, Thomas added, are you worried about the build-up to Christmas? A little bit, Toby admitted, but we got to do what we can, Thomas. The Fat Controller is relying on us all to get our jobs done so everyone can celebrate Christmas together.
Yeah.
Thomas felt very reassured of this. Right, I best be going, he said. I've got to get my snowplow fitted. Take it easy, said Toby, and remember, be prepared this afternoon. Thomas promised that he would, and the two engines parted ways. Terence was as good as his word when it came to Vince. He showed the snowmobile everything that needed to be done. I hate to be rude, Terence, Vince was saying, but you wouldn't exactly see me with a snowplow. Oh, don't worry about that, said Terence. You leave that to me. Your job is to make sure all the roads are safe. Oh, well, that's all right then, said Vince. But what if an engine gets stuck in a drift? Do I have to help them too? Not fully, said Terence. Just give them some words of encouragement. And if they're truly stuck, just come for me. I'll get them out of a drift.
Yep.
I even got Thomas out once.
There's the Thomas Turns the Snow reference right there.
Quite easy, actually. I moved his coaches first, then I came back for Thomas. Caw, you must have been quite a strong tractor to move an engine, said Vince, sounding quite impressed. Well, I don't like to brag, said Terence. Stop gossiping, Terence, said Farmer Finney. We've still got to show Vince around. Oh, yes, of course. Come on, Vince. I'll show you the country road. The snow's quite tricky there. Right behind you, Terence, called Vince. And all the while, Terence couldn't resist continuing his story of how he rescued Thomas from a snowdrift.
Understandable.
Meanwhile, Diesel was seething with rage.
Oh.
The Fat Controller had asked him, of all engines, to wear a snowplow. He sat crossly at the works as he went to have it fitted. His snowplow was a lot different to the other engines.
I can see that.
It was a thinner blade, but was yellow and black striped and hung under his buffer beam. What kind of sick joke is this to call a snowplow? He oiled grumpily. The workman had just put on the last bolt of the
Just turn my phone on silent. There we go.
Snowplow when Henry came in. Oh, Diesel, he gasped. Thank goodness I found you. I've been trying to find someone for ages.
What is it?
What is it? Diesel scowled. Thomas got his snowplow fitted, but he's gotten stuck in a large drift. He was clearing the track to his branch line, but the snow buried his plough in.
Oh,
Can you go and help him? You've got a snowplow. And what's in it for me if I go? Asked Diesel. You'll be the most useful engine of all. reassured Henry.
Calling all engines reference
Diesel
right there.
was quite reluctant at first, but he knew that a stuck engine was not something to ignore. Once his plough had had its checks, he revved his engine and set off to find Thomas, muttering under his breath as he did. By this point, the snowfall that Toby had informed Thomas about had arrived.
Ooh.
It came down hard and
Oh, looks like
fast
Diesel's got
and
him
made
stuck.
things difficult for Diesel. He growled as he put his new snowplow to work. This is why diesels don't work in the snow, he
doesn't
roared
seem too happy.
as he forced the plough into the snow. At that moment, a voice called out to him. "Come on, mate, you can do it." Diesel looked over and saw Vince watching the operation.
There's Vince.
"What on earth are you supposed to be?" he oiled. "Never mind that," encouraged Vince. "I've seen that Thomas just down the line. You can do it. You're not too far away. I think you got this. You're quite strong for your class." Diesel liked the sound of that.
Oh.
He pushed hard into the snow. His engine roared, and he was determined to get through. Vince allowed him to pass and watched with admiration as Diesel forced the snow aside, gritting his teeth and concentrating as hard as he could.
I can tell by that constant face keeper, mate.
"Yeah, he's got this big time," Vince said to himself. Thomas's driver and fireman had done what they could to dig out his snowplow, but it was still stuck. "I'm never going to get out of here," said Thomas. "Terence is really going to kick up a storm when he finds out about this." "I wouldn't be so sure of that," oiled the voice, as Diesel, covered in snow patches around his body, appeared next to Thomas. "Diesel," Thomas spluttered. "Where did you come from?" "From Santa Claus's magical winter wonderland," snarled Diesel. "Where do you think I came from?" Thomas then noticed Diesel's snowplow. "Did you come to my rescue with that?" he exclaimed. "That's quite impressive.
Yeah, he did.
I didn't know diesels could have snowplows." "Neither did I," said Diesel plainly. "Now then, let's get you out of here and back to the yard in good order." With the help of Diesel's own crew, Thomas's snowplow was soon dug free. He changed tracks and Diesel carried on the rest of the journey. He was no longer embarrassed over his new snowplow, as he felt it was quite powerful. Even Thomas had to admit it was a very rare opportunity to be rescued by Diesel, as the two of them made their way back to the yard.
Wow.
A little later, Percy came along, as it was his turn to have his snowplow fitted. He was quite relieved to see Thomas having his snowplow checked over, in case there had been any dents from when it was buried. "Oh, Thomas," said Percy, "thank goodness you're safe. But how on earth did you get out of that?" "You won't believe it," said Thomas.
This is Percy's reaction.
He quickly explained about Diesel.
Yeah,
"It's a good thing Henry and Vince saw me," Thomas said. "They must have spread the word to Diesel. His snowplow did wonders." Percy was amazed. Soon, Thomas's snowplow had been checked out and everything was fine. "Well, got to go," Thomas said. "Don't get stuck, Percy. You wouldn't want Diesel to come and help, would you?" Percy chuckled as Thomas hopped away.
So true.
But as the weeks passed and Christmas slowly made itself known, the engines realised that they didn't really need their snowplows as often as they expected. They carried on their work regardless, aiming to please the Fat Controller in the days slowly building up to Christmas. Within a few weeks, the weather had cleared, but the snow remained. Vince was a valuable asset to the roads, and Terence taught him well. The engines were now tasked with delivering Christmas trees across the island.
Okay.
Thomas recently had the honour of taking the ballyhoo tree. It was large and green and
Ballyhoo
majestic,
on the Normandy
and when
branch.
Thomas passed by later that day, it was covered in colourful tinsel, lights and
Wow, that looks
baubles.
so beautiful.
"This is going to be the best Christmas ever," puffed Thomas.
Looking that way.
The engines had also heard whispers of an old friend coming back to the island to
Who
help
is
out with
it?
the festivities. But no one knew who it was, except the Fat Controller, who was keeping the secret to himself.
Who is it? Who is it?
It was a few days before Christmas Eve.
No, it can't be Daisy.
Emily was waiting at the junction with a long line of coal trucks making her deliveries across the island. While she waited, Daisy, the diesel rail car, rolled up snootily beside her.
Who is the old friend?
Oh, isn't that the way?
She smirked. "I beg your pardon," said Emily, rather surprised.
You always stock up for the steam engines and the stations of the island,
said Daisy.
but you never do anything for us diesels.
"Of course we do," protested Emily.
Why is Daisy acting
"Name
like
one
that?
thing we haven't done."
Well, you could have at least supplied the yards with freshly made fuel tanks,
said Daisy.
It would save a lot of bother for us to start on those horrendous cold mornings.
"But that's not my problem," said Emily. "I can't help it if your engine doesn't want to start in the morning."
And that's another thing,
said Daisy.
We might have helped you build an airport earlier in the summer, but that doesn't mean you have
It takes place during season 9 after the airport was built.
to look down your funnels at us and think that diesels are not useful.
Before Emily could detest, Daisy rolled away.
And another thing,
she called as she did.
You steam engines always show off that you have a better Christmas than us.
Emily gritted her teeth and puffed away to deliver her coal.
Wow.
While she delivered coal at Kelsthorpe Road...
BOCO! It's BOCO who's the old friend right there. It's BOCO. For those of you who don't know, Keith has his own little headcanon for BOCO that he did in his story, passing the torch back in season 1 of his audio stories. He basically headcanoned that BOCO simply left Sodor after season 5 he did, and had Bill and Ben transfer from the clay pits to the quarry, so Mavis could keep an eye on them. So BOCO pretty much was permanently transferred over to the mainland, but here he is.
Emily told Henry what Daisy had said. Henry couldn't help but tell Edward. "Do you think what Daisy says is true?" he asked. "Of course not," replied Edward. "The diesels and the steam engines have always celebrated Christmas together. Nothing's ever different. Take the times we celebrated at Tidmouth Station." "Oh, I remember that day quite well."
There he is,
boomed a familiar voice. Henry and Edward almost jumped with surprise. "I know that voice," said Edward. And sure enough, who should roll next to Edward and Henry but BOCO, the Metropolitan Vickers Diesel Electric Type 2. "Oh, lads,
Type 2.
Long time no see," called BOCO. "Well, bust my buffers," exclaimed Edward. "BOCO! What a wonderful surprise!" "Does the Fat Controller know you're here?" asked Henry. "Of course he does," replied BOCO. "He spoke to my manager on the other railway and asked me to come and help with the festivities. He's also got something else planned for me, but I have to report to him to find out what it is.
Wow.
Anyway, best be going.
Wow.
Good to see you again, lads." And with that, BOCO rumbled away. "Well, I'll be," exclaimed Edward. "Christmas really has come early this year." BOCO was to report to the Fat Controller at Peel Station. He was overjoyed when the Class 28 rolled in. "Ah, BOCO," he said, "it's so good to see you again. I trust things are well on the other railway." "Ah, they are, sir, thank you," replied BOCO.
Yep.
I understand you've got a bit of a task for me. Yes, indeed, replied the Fat Controller. I've heard some concerns about the other diesels. I know they all worked well with the steam engines when they built the airport, but they believe they are not given a fair share of Christmas spirit. And that's why, BOCO, I've asked you to come and help. I'll be organising the usual party at Tidmouth Station.
Okay.
But I have something else planned for the diesels.
Okay.
Of course, sir, said BOCO. Anything to help. The Fat Controller quickly explained. Afterwards, it was BOCO's job to make many deliveries across the island. He brought a Christmas tree, decorations, presents, and took it all to the coaling plant. He was quite secretive, but he only told the steam engines with what he was doing. Gordon and James thought BOCO had gone mad, giving the diesels a Christmas that they believed the diesels did not deserve.
Ooh.
The likes of Edward, Henry, Thomas and Percy knew that BOCO was a good-hearted diesel and would always help the Fat Controller in a time of need. Before long,
Wow.
everything
Diesel's
was ready.
having their own Christmas party. Look, even Diesel 10
had just watched the Christmas tree be decorated at the coaling plant when the diesels arrived. Diesel, Mavis, Harry, Bert, Salty, Daisy, and even Diesel 10 were in attendance. Diesel was still recounting how useful his snowplow had been. The others chuckled and praised him for his efforts. Then the Christmas hats were passed around and the tree was lit up. I must say, BOCO, me hearty, said Salty, this is a wonderful Christmas.
I must admit,
said Daisy,
it looks perfect. I take back everything I say to the steam engines.
Yes,
you better take
indeed,
back what you said to
BOCO,
Emily.
said Diesel. You may have been away from our rails for quite some time, but at least you've given us a wonderful Christmas to remember. Hear, hear, agreed Mavis. BOCO smiled humbly. There were plenty of games for the Diesel's crews to play. There were carols, there was a few Christmas treats, and even Diesel 10 let out his funny side by placing his Santa hat on his claw and making a little Santa Claus joke in the process.
Wow.
The steam engines also had a wonderful Christmas too, and they all had to admit it was truly a wonderful get-together indeed. But all too soon, Christmas came and went. The snow started to melt. Vince had worked especially hard during the winter, and Terence had been singing his praises. One day, just before it was New Year's Eve, Vince spotted Thomas at the junction. Well, Thomas, he said, I've come to say goodbye. You've been a valuable asset to our island, Vince, said Thomas. How can we ever thank you? Oh, it's nothing really. Just the snowmobile doing its duties, smiled Vince. Take care of yourselves, won't you? And maybe I might come round next year. We'll look forward to it, said Thomas. And with that, Vince, the snowmobile, left for home. Thomas headed back to the warm comforts of Tidmouth Sheds. He had to admit, everyone had a very good Christmas this year. The Diesels had, thanks to BOCO, the roads had, thanks to Vince, and the Fat Controller was incredibly proud of everyone's efforts.
Yep.
The engines were also sorry that BOCO couldn't stay for New Year's Eve, but they were glad to have their old
BOCO
friend back
moved
again.
back to Sodor.
It just goes to show that sometimes during the winter holidays, everyone can come together and celebrate what they love and enjoy most. And that's exactly what the engines did, all together on the island of Sodor.
Merry Christmas from Kiefer Adams. Happy Christmas to you too, Kiefer. Happy Christmas to you too. And that's a wrap. That's a wrap for Kiefer Adams, Thomas and Friends audio stories in 2024, folks. What a nice, heartwarming story to end off, like I said, to end off the season of all, to end off the season of aud to end off 2024, the audio stories in 2024. Oh, it was such a delight, such a delight to see BOCO again. I was wondering I knew who Vince was because he'd been teased. He was actually teased in the community tab of Kiefer's channel. Kiefer left a teaser. But I was wondering who this old friend was, but I just wasn't expecting it to be BOCO of all engines. Now, for those of you who don't know, that during season 1 of Kiefer's audio series, he gave a bit of a headcanon as to what happened to BOCO. That BOCO simply was transferred to the mainland at the end of season 5, and Bill and Ben were sent to work at Barkwar Quarry. Well, if we're talking about timeline-wise in the model series, I like to, even though Heroes, the clay pits were destroyed in Heroes in Season 3, but was shown again in Double Teething Troubles in Season 5, in my little AU, Heroes is actually part of Season 5. Yes, you heard that correctly. I actually think that the episode Heroes would actually actually work better in Season 5 based on given the fact Season 5 was all about action. It was. And what was I going to say? What else was I going to say? That season say that after the claimants got destroyed, they closed, and Bill and Ben were relocated to Farquhar Quarry as a result of what happened. But what was I going to say? But I'd like to think that in my headcanon, now thanks to this story, the reason I'd actually think that the events of this story would happen, but BOCO would actually permanently stay on Sodor. It would, if I was talking about my TVS headcanon for him. But basically, what happened was, for the TVS canon, if we're going into this TVS AU, was that BOCO was actually in Heroes, which takes place in season 5 of my AU. That BOCO, what was I going to say? BOCO was caught up in wasn't able to escape the destroyed clay pits. He survived, but was left badly damaged so much so that he had to head off to the mainland to be repaired. But it was very clear that his repairs were going to take quite some time. So BOCO was away from season 5 through to season 9, if this audio story takes place during season 9. And after which, he is fully repaired and brought back to Sodor, like how in this story, and helps give the Diesels a Christmas to remember. That's essentially how basically I see it. That BOCO, that in my TVS AU, BOCO was caught up in the destruction of the clay pits. He was badly damaged and had to be sent to the mainland for repairs, and then came back to Sodor. He did in time for Christmas 2005 in the TVS timeline. So yeah, that's how my headcanon, my AU for BOCO in the model series works. But what is your headcanon on BOCO? Let me know in the comments down below. You can. I'm pretty sure you can use Heroes and this audio story if you want as part of your headcanon right there. But this was simply a lovely story. I really wish this was part of the hit era, because I'm sure Vince would only have been a one-time character, but who cares? Who cares? I mean, I really like Diesel proving to be a hero right there. It would have made for a great extended episode in season 9. It would have. I also like Daisy having a little bit of a role right there. And like I said, love BOCO's return. Really do love BOCO's return to what was I going to say? BOCO's return to the Northwestern Railway in this. What a nice, lovely story, Kiefer, to end 2024 off. I know you've had your ups and downs, Kiefer, particularly with that thing in the summer you did, but you've managed to pick yourself up from it really good. And I really have enjoyed the audio stories. I really enjoyed, the audio stories that have come out this year. If I were to choose my favorite one, if I were to choose my favorite audio story out of all of them, I would probably, you know what? I'm actually going to go for this one. I'm actually going to go for this one as my favorite audio story of the year because of just how nice it was. Just how nice it was. You know, Vince's design, Diesel proving to be a hero, Daisy's cameo appearance in BOCO making a return. That would be absolutely fantastic. It would. I would really love. I mean, there are some others I enjoyed, like Beware the Mardy Monster, where he actually put a real life engine into the Thomas series right there. That's also another good one. There's just so many more I could name. So let me know, guys, in the comments down below. What was your favorite Kiefer Adams audio story? Audio story that Kiefer Adams did this year. It can be from season 5, it can be from season 6, it can be one of the audio specials. Just let me know what your favorite one was in the comments down below. And yeah, that's basically all I gotta say. That wraps it up for the audio story, for Kiefer's audio story, Thomas audio stories in 2024. I sure can't wait for 2025, particularly in the coming weeks, because in January he is going to be releasing Thomas and the Greendale Rocket to kickstart the year. Cannot wait to react to that, Kiefer. Then also we have one in February. We have a bit of a one in I think we do have one in February. And then March will be the 7th and final season of his audio stories. Can't wait for that. So yeah, you do want to see my previous Thomas reactions, whenever it's an audio story or Trains adaptation, I'll have a playlist up in the top right corner of your screen right now. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button with me. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this audio story I reacted to. Also let me know in the comments down below what other videos you want me to react to next. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, links to both of them will be in the description down below. Share this video, subscribe if you're new here, ring that bell to get notified when I upload new videos or when I post in the community tab, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!